Hello everyone, it is Yana over here, and I'm back with another tipping video. Last round was pretty good actually. I did pretty well, whereas most people didn't. I ended up getting 7 out of 9, which is a very good result. I'll take that considering the round was full with upsets and all that sort of stuff. I will definitely take that result out of that round. Anyways, we are now at round 3 already. It's amazing really how time really flies. I mean, we're only early in the season, but before you know it, it'll be end of the season, it'll be finals before you know it. But yeah, as I said, a couple of rounds into a couple of upsets already. This is why I've been kind of more bold with my tipping. I've tried to be, at least on some of the games, not all of them, of course. But on some of the games, I have tried to be more bold. Because I feel like that's going to probably result in get a better result for me. So, anyways, this is round 3, as I said, and first off, on Thursday night, we have the Dogs taking on the Lions at Marvel Stadium, and oh boy, the Dogs were poor. The Dogs were poor against the Saints. They just couldn't break through the Saints' defensive structure, and they looked pretty slow. I'm not gonna lie, they looked pretty slow. They didn't look like the Dogs of old, the Dogs that we from back in 2021 and all that played fast football. They just looked slow, and they couldn't break through the Saints defense. They were just caught napping really, and the Lions, well, I did say that they would come out and fight. I didn't think they would do what they did, but I did say that they would come out and fight, but boy, did they ever do that. And they absolutely hammered the D's. Yes, they almost lost it after the lights went out, but other than that, they hammered the D's. They controlled the game from the get-go. And yeah, they probably deserved it. They definitely deserved the win in the end. The Dogs, I think they will come out firing, don't get me wrong. I think that they will fight in this game because they kind of have to. They're 0-2, and they've got a lot of people that have them in a microscope right now. So they really have to come out and fight. But I think Brisbane is going to be too strong. I think they're going to be better away from home this season, despite the Port hammering in round 1. I think they're going to be better, and I reckon that they'll be too strong and run away with this game. Dogs will fight it, but Brisbane will win by 26 points. On Friday night, we have Collingwood versus Richmond. This game's going to be good. This game is going to be good. Collingwood, they're probably one of the most impressive teams at the moment. The way they transition, the way they attack, it's almost like there's no stopping it. It's so fast. It's unbelievable the way they play. It's exciting. It's, believe it or not, it's lovable. Can't believe I'm saying that about Collingwood. But I love the way they play. To be fair, I've actually had a lot of respect for them in the last couple of years. Met a couple of good guys, but anyways, I love the way they play. They're playing some really exciting football at the moment, and I think it's football that can well and truly stacks up, as it's already proved that. It's already proved that it can stack up. It smashed Port Adelaide on the weekend. It was able to get over the top of Geelong. They're not easy beats, especially the Cats. They're not easy beats at all. And their new game plan, which, by the way, seems to heavily revolve around contested possessions as well, beat them pretty substantially. Anyways, they will be taking on the Tigers, whom I think, well, the Tigers were a bit iffy at times last week. They did get out to a 42-point lead, 43 or 40-something points, but but they let the Crows back into it when they shouldn't have. But then, of course, they ran away with it in the end by 5 goals. So their midfield's just too strong. Their midfield was just too strong for the Crows, and in the end overran them. But still, they should never have allowed the Crows to get back into that game. So I reckon, as good as the Tigers are, I reckon that Collingwood's game plan's too strong. And I reckon that the Pies will get this done in a good game by 7 points. This will likely go down to the wire. Last couple of minutes will probably be a sealing goal. That's what I'm thinking. Anyways, Saturday morning, we have Hawthorn taking on North Melbourne. Well, I think it's pretty obvious which team is the more impressive of these two so far this season, and that is the Kangas. Boy, the Kangas good. I know they were really good against the Dockers. The Dockers have been poor, but Kangas, who would have thought they would go over to Perth, come over here, and grab a win in the Fortress against the Dockers, against a good Dockers side. Whilst they're not playing well, they're still a good side. And I reckon that, I'm really impressed with how much strides they've made over the summer. I'm really impressed with how far they've come, and Alistair Clarkson's done a really good job there. I really think so. I mean, they did just get across the line against us. That was a 50-50 game. But the Dockers win was just, what do I say, a shin boner spirit from the Kangaroos. Anyways, Hawthorn, well, I did think they'd get smashed, but they got smashed maybe more than I thought they would. They were piss poor. They really were. They did not put any effort in at all. And even without Buddy, the Swans breezed past them. It was like a training drill for the Swans. And yeah, really disappointing from the Hawks. And despite the fact that this is at UTAS, I think North Melbourne's going to get the win here. Probably I'm tipping North in a game, but it is what it is. I'm going to be tipping North in this game, and I'll be tipping them by 20 points. I think they'll be pretty good in this game. Anyways, the Giants take on Carlton on early Saturday afternoon at Giants Stadium. And I'm going to be honest, Carlton looks impressive. Carlton look really good. They beat the Cats. There were questions raised over whether Carlton could withstand against good teams during the last few minutes, during the dying stage of the game. And boy, oh boy, did they do that. Especially Harry Mackay took some absolutely brilliant marks to help steal the game for the Blues. And in the end, they won by 8 points. And I reckon that they are going to be... They're looking pretty good. I reckon definitely top 8. Easily top 8. So I reckon they're looking pretty good. But the Giants, well, they were the opposite. Yes, they had a few outs, but they weren't good. They were not good. I was at the game, obviously, so I got to see what it was like. And the Giants, they just let it... especially during the second quarter, we were able to get our game going, the Eagles, and the Giants had no answer for it. They just had no answer for it at all, and in the end, down by too much. They weren't good at all. They did try and fight back in the second half, but it was too little, too late. And ultimately, they were... One area I'd like to point out was the Giants were beaten by the Eagles in the contested ball and clearances. And these two areas are not areas that West Coast is particularly good at. So the fact that they were beaten by the Eagles in this area should be of concern for the Giants, I reckon. So yeah. Either ways, despite this being a Giants stadium, I think that Carlton will get this done. They'll get it done pretty substantially. They'll win by 25 points. On Saturday, mid-afternoon Saturday, we have the Saints taking on the Dons. This is going to be a good game as well. There's a couple of good games in this round, a few good games, but this is one of them. I think St Kilda and Essendon have really surprised. They've been really impressive. I mean, Saints' defensive structure under Ross Lyon, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of defense. Not a fan of extreme defense, But they looked signed on. They looked signed up to this game plan, and it's clearly working for them. And they look really impressive with it. I'm not gonna lie. Their defensive structure does look really good. And you can see behind the ball the way they played against Gold Coast, the way they set up, especially. Well, not Gold Coast, sorry, that's Aston. But the way they played against the Dogs, they did not allow the Dogs to get through at all. They just choked them. I really think their defensive structure looks pretty good. In fact, it looks very good, and it has the capability to stand up to teams that are of decent caliber. Essendon hard-fought game against Gold Coast. Hard-fought. They were close throughout until the last quarter where the Bombers ran away with it. They're looking new under Brad Scott. They're looking new. And they are looking far more impressive than they were last season. Sorry about that. And I'm really impressed with how they have done that. There's a reason why they're 2-0. They're really, especially at Marvel Stadium, they're particularly hard to beat at Marvel Stadium with the home crowd particularly. But this will be played at the MCG. It's a bit different there. I think the Dons are going to be good. I think they're going to keep this game close. But I think the Saints' defensive structure will outlast in the end. And I reckon the Saints will get this done in a thriller by 5 points. Saturday afternoon again at the Adelaide Oval, we have the showdown. These are always good games. They're always good games. The fierce hatred between the Power and the Crows makes them always get up from one another. Whenever if you're Port Adelaide, you see Adelaide on the fixture, you get up and come out firing against Adelaide. If you're Adelaide, you come out firing against Port. And these two teams are probably a little different in a way that they play. I think Adelaide puts in more effort and all that. I think Port is bigger on talent, but I think Adelaide puts in more effort. And you've seen that on the weekend where Adelaide were 40 odd points down and they fought their way back into the contest. Yes, Richmond ran away with it, but when you come 40 points down, you have to put all that work in. And it makes you tired. So, yeah, the Crows, I reckon, really, they put in more effort than the Power does. And the Power got absolutely destroyed by Collingwood on the weekend. They were not good at all. But then again, they were really good against Brisbane. So what are we gonna get from the Power? I think personally, I think the Power will win this. I would not be surprised if the Crows got up though. I think the Power will win this in a good game by 2 goals. On Sunday, middle of the day, we have Gold Coast taking on Geelong. And well, these two teams have been really disappointing. Cats probably less so due to the fact that they've come up against good sides in Carlton and Collingwood. But Gold Coast, they were better against Essendon, admittedly. They were better, but still not good enough to win the game in the end. And I just don't know if I just don't know if Gold Coast can really challenge for it. They look like a bottom four side. They really do, and I did not think that they look like this, Gold Coast, but they are, and they really do look like a bottom four side. And it's really disappointing to see, especially since the Suns have never really been up there. I want to see them play well and make it, you know. So, but anyways, the Cats, Carlton they probably controlled the game from start to finish. The Cats they can't get it together, can they? They're on a bit of a. They haven't really stuck it together during the first couple of rounds, even though they won the premiership last year. They just haven't been able to stick it together during the last couple of rounds. Maybe if they lose this game, I'd probably say that they may not even make finals. Definitely not top four, but they may not even make finals if they lose this game to the Suns. And just for that reason, I think Geelong is going to be more desperate. They're going to be more, or try and. Obviously, they're not going to want to lose this game. Considering that they were premiers last year, they don't want to drop out of the A straight away. So I reckon the Cats will get this done. And they will get this done pretty well by 22 points. Now, the third good game of the round. Melbourne versus Sydney at the MCG on Saturday afternoon. And, well, tale of two different stories. Melbourne disappointing up until after the Lions won out. That is, they were disappointing against the Lions. I thought that they would be too strong, but they were not. They went up for the challenge that the Lions gave them in the end, and ultimately they ended up losing. I can't remember how much they lost by now, but I think it was 11 points. They lost by 11 points, something like that. Just 2 goals. And ultimately, that came down to the fact that they just were not good enough during the middle of the game. The Lions monstered them during the middle of the game. The Swans, well, training drill against the Hawks. Training drill, as I said. It was a training drill for the Swans. Ended up winning by 80 plus points. Absolutely destroyed the Hawks. Made it look like the Hawks weren't even playing. They were, even without Buddy, no problems for the Swans. Even though this is at the MCG, I just feel like it has a lot of those last 2 games that the Swans and D's have played against each other. I'm going to have no Max Gawn for the D's. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And I just think that, I think the Swans can go over there to Melbourne and get it done. I really think they can get it done again. And I'm going to be tipping the Swans to win this game. And they will win it in a really good game by 9 points. And last but not least, we have the Derby at Optus Stadium. And, well, I can say that Fremantle have been utterly disappointing. Fremantle have been very disappointing. It was bad enough losing to the Saints, but then losing to North on their home deck. Oh, God, that is... Yes, North have impressed, admittedly, but they just, they can't find any options up forward. They haven't been able to score, and this is the problem. Not only that, but their midfield just isn't firing either. And, this is what's causing them to collapse. Yes, it was a good fight back against the Kangaroos in the last 5 minutes, but if the Dockers should know this, you can't play 5 minutes of good football. You just can't. you got to play a full game of good football, and they didn't do that. They did not do that at all. North did, but Freo didn't, and that was the difference in the end. And ultimately, North deserved that win. West Coast, well, West Coast, finally we got the win. Finally we got a win. I was at the game, and I was actually really impressed, especially during the second quarter. We were far better than what we were against North. Far better. There was still, as Adam Simpson said, there was still some things that we needed to tweak up. Like the last quarter, there was some things. I think there was a couple of times where GWS, on the last goal or something they kicked, they had players roaming free in their forward 50. That needs to be fixed. That shouldn't be happening. But during the second quarter, in particular, that was the best football that this club has played in a long, long time, since 2021 probably. Since one of the games in 2021. That was the best football that we've played since. We actually looked like we wanted to play. We looked like we wanted to play. We were playing on. We were being more bold with the ball, taking it down the middle, and we were able to find options up forward. Like Jake Waterman, for example, had 4 goals. He had a brilliant game. Cripps, 3 goals, including an absolute beauty from the pocket in the second quarter. What a goal that was from Jamie Cripps. I was actually sitting literally right there, and I could see it curve in. So, but yeah, we looked like a totally different team when we do that. Kelly was good. The midfield stepped up. Whereas in the first round against the Kangas, we got smashed in the contested possession and in the clearances. This time against the Giants, we won the contested ball. I think it was by 7, and we won the clearances by 4. Big difference. That made a massive difference in the game, and it helped us win the game, particularly in the second quarter where we were good in this area. It helped us win the game. And, we need to start replicating that more in other games. So, anyways, when it comes to this, it's tough. It's going to be a good derby, I reckon. I'm going to be attending the game too. I'm going to be attending this game as well. And I'm actually going to be sitting in row 3 seats back from the fence. I'm not going to tell you which section I'm going to be in, but I'm going to be sitting three rows back from the fence in row 3. But it's tough. This is a tough one to tip, especially with Freo's poor form and the Eagles maybe showing some glimpses. It's really tough to tip. But ultimately, in the end, I'm going to stick with the safe tip. I'm going to tip the Dockers. But boy, am I tempted to tip West Coast. But I'm going to tip the Dockers in a really good game. And I'm going to tip them to win by 8 points. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know who you're tipping down in the comments below. Again, as I've said in previous videos, you don't have to agree with my tips. You can point out which ones you don't agree with. I'm perfectly fine with that. Anyways, as I said, I will be attending the game, and I will be in row 3 seats back from the fence at the derby. So look out for me, maybe. Look out for me, because you might be able to see me. Anyways, till next time, Yandere Lover out.